All right, welcome into Pigskin Perspectives. It is a preview edition, as always. Going to go through a lot of football here. We're recording at halftime of the Browns game, so things seem a little expedited. You know the reason why, but we're going to try to go through normal stuff that we go through in these games with all of this, just because there's a lot of football going on. So first, with bowl games still flying by, we're going to take a look back at those ones we previewed just 48 hours ago, basically. We're going to start with the Military Bowl. Virginia Tech walks out a 41-20 winner in this game. They were a 10-point favorite going into the game. Halftime, it was a close game. I believe it was 17-17 going into half, but Virginia Tech in a monsoon, I should say. This was in an absolute monsoon. They just run away with the game in the second half, and Tulane lose their second consecutive game. Obviously, not the way you want to end the season, but new regime coming in next year with Willie Fritz already in Houston. But a good win for Virginia Tech also. This is a program that's had some rough years the past 2 years. And it finally seems like they're getting back on track. They're getting close to being back to where they were. And I'm excited to see where Virginia Tech continues this. Duke's Mayo Bowl. It was the battle of which coach with the last name Brown is getting Mayo dumped on their head at the end of the game. And it was Neil Brown getting the Mayo dumped all over him. As West Virginia wins this game 30-10. I think I said on Tuesday, I didn't understand why they were the favorites in this game, West Virginia, but I never doubt Vegas. That kind of proved its point, even though I ended up saying, Mac Brown would be funnier with Mayo dumped on him, so why don't I just pick that? It always seemed like it was going to be West Virginia being the right side because Vegas always knows, and they proved that in this game once again. And West Virginia just looked like the better team out and out in the whole game. I know North Carolina had some players sitting out, but West Virginia far out better, looked the better team. Garrett Gilbert, the quarterback, I don't know if he has another year of eligibility left. I think he does. Should be a really good player for West Virginia next year if he's coming back again. That's something I should probably know, but I honestly, off the top of my head, I could not tell you. Surprise of the night, Louisville came in as a 6.5-point favorite. They lose by 3 touchdowns, 42-28. That was just a performance I was not expecting from the USC Trojans. That was one of the best performances they've put up all year, and they didn't even have Caleb Williams playing at quarterback. Now for Louisville, not a great look. Florida State struggled with them, obviously, in the ACC title. And then this happens, and it just absolutely disgusting performance from Louisville. They truly were never in this game. They kept getting close and close, but then USC would just go right back down the field, and it wouldn't matter. So USC get the victory in this one. Good win for Lincoln Riley going into the offseason. It kind of felt like he needed this win just to keep things on the up and up at USC. Going into the Big Ten next year, a lot of big changes. After a bad year, you kind of got to show something in the bowl game, and I think that's what he did. Oklahoma State beat Texas A&M 31-23. This was another, I'm going to trust Vegas on this one, even though I don't think that they should be the favorites. It had ended up being Vegas right again. Oklahoma State wins this game. They were up by a decent amount going into half, I believe. Texas A&M started to put up a fight in that second half. I thought they were going to get close near the end, and they just couldn't get it done. Thought they had an opportunity to possibly tie up the game. It just never truly worked out for them. And Oklahoma State goes into the offseason as, Mike Gundy, one of the longest tenured coaches in college football, goes into another offseason, going into a new Big 12 next year. I think they should be one of the favorites, honestly. Just given you're losing Texas and Oklahoma. Yes, you're adding a lot of teams, but I don't think anybody's at that level, and it should be Oklahoma State's conference to lose next year, I would think. But honestly, Oklahoma State didn't look good at parts this year, so I truly wouldn't be surprised either way, whatever happens in that scenario. Then we get to today's bowl games. We obviously still have one going on, the Alamo Bowl, so we won't be recapping that. We'll start off with the Fenway Bowl, though. SMU winning the American. Believed they were going to the Fiesta Bowl for a minute. They ended up in Fenway, and they got Fenwayed. I don't know if getting Fenwayed is a thing, but I've just made it a thing because it was Boston College walking away with a 23-14 victory in this game. And Boston College they looked like the better team throughout this game. Obviously, this will be a conference game next year with SMU moving to the ACC. I'd say this is a big win for Jeff Hatley's Boston College Eagles. They got to a bowl game this year, and I think people were just happy with getting to a bowl game. But I don't think Hatley was. He wanted to get that win. He got that win. And honestly, I'm really happy for this Boston College program. I think Hatley's a good coach. I think they're starting to really turn it around there. If the ACC doesn't fall apart, I can see them being a 9-win team in a few years. I think Castellanos, their quarterback, who played today, I think he may be the future of Boston College football. I see a lot of potential in him, so hopefully that pans out. But for SMU, just a disappointing end of the season. You win the American, you think you might get New Year's 6, and it just all falls apart here to a 6-6 team. Not a great end to the season. The Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. It was Rutgers walking away with a 31-24 victory over the University of Miami. Coming into this game, Rutgers was 0-13, I believe, all-time against Miami, going back to the Big East days. And it was Rutgers getting their first ever victory against the Miami football program. Rutgers looked very good in this game. Miami looked poorly coached, which can't say I'm surprised. Mario Cristobal kind of proven that time and again. Maybe not the greatest of coaches. There were some questionable plays out there today. Questionable time management. It looked amateurish, honestly. Just not a great look. Schiano gets another bowl win at Rutgers. This is a Rutgers program, obviously. Big Ten's much more difficult next year, but it finally feels like they're starting to turn a corner, kind of. I feel like we say that every year, and then they end up 6-6. Is this finally the corner being turned for real? I don't know, but maybe for once, this is the corner being turned. And finally, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, greatest bowl game of all time. We had a Pop-Tart mascot come out of a gigantic toaster at the beginning of the game. Just insane. We had a gigantic Pop-Tart mascot getting eaten at the end of the game by the winners, and that winner was Kansas State. They walk out with a 28-19 victory over the NC State Wolfpack. This started early. Kansas State went up 7-0 very quick, and it kind of felt like this is Kansas State's game tonight. And they kind of proved that way. It just continued going their way. North Carolina State just could never really get into the game. Kansas State ends up being the ones eating the gigantic Pop-Tart at the end of the game. again, amazing bowl. Bowl season cannot be stopped. People that say that there's too many bowl games, you are taking away things like the Pop-Tarts Bowl, where we have gigantic Pop-Tart mascots just being menaces everywhere. So basically, you hate fun if you don't like all these bowl games, is basically what I'm saying. So we're going to get into the previews here. And there are a lot of bowl games coming up these next few days. I've decided, personal liberty, for now, we're just going to look at the New Year's Six. And by that, I mean the non-playoff games. So the plan is I will do a playoff preview on Saturday probably. And maybe I'll throw in the New Year's Day bowl games in there. But that's the plan as of now. I wanted to get the other New Year's Six done because those start on Friday. So, I mean, let's just get into those. It is the game on Friday, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. It is Ohio State going up against Missouri, live from Jerry's World, Arlington, Texas, where it's going to be a quick turnaround because the Cowboys play the next day. At home, of course. Ohio State's a 4.5-point favorite in this game, which is shocking to me given all their opt-outs and transfers. I figured Missouri would have been favorites by now. I want to pick Missouri in this game because Ohio State just has that many players out. I just don't see it happening, honestly. I think Ohio State finds a way to win this game. Probably end up covering that 4.5, 4.5. I don't know why I said 4.5, but it just kind of seems like that kind of game where Ohio State just finds a way with whatever quarterback starting. I think it's going to be Drew Brown, but honestly, no idea. Moving on, Saturday, a noon kickoff from Atlanta. It is the Ole Miss Rebels taking on the Penn State Nittany Lions. James Franklin loves these type of bowl games because he just wins them for some reason. But Penn State is the 4.5 point favorite. I think Penn State wins this game. I know Ole Miss have actually, you know what? I don't think Penn State wins this game because I keep getting reminded of how Drew Aller has played in big games this year, and it hasn't been great. Now, can you consider this a big game? Kind of. I would say it is. I think Lane Kiffin has this Ole Miss team ready to go, and I think Ole Miss comes out hot. And I think Ole Miss might win this game. I think Vegas might be wrong on this one, even though Vegas is never wrong. We'll stay on Saturday. It is the Orange Bowl, where it is Georgia going up against Florida State, the two teams that believe they got snubbed from the playoffs, which, whatever. It is the Capital One Orange Bowl live from Miami, 4 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. Georgia's a 19.5 point favorite. Over-under's 44.5. Yeah, that's something, isn't it? Georgia's going to win this game. Tade Rodmaker not playing. He's in the portal. Florida State's going to look like the team that played in the ACC title and didn't look good. Keon Coleman's opted for the draft, so he's not playing. Georgia has a bunch of players sitting out too, but they have the better backups than Florida State, and Georgia is going to run this game. And then finally, on New Year's Day, an early kickoff in Arizona. I believe it's a, 11 a.m. kickoff? Because I believe they're Mountain Zone. That would make sense. But it is Liberty, the group of 5 participants, going up against Oregon. Oregon is a 16.5 point favorite. And I've said this since this bowl game was announced. Oregon's going to dominate this game. Liberty has the worst strength of schedule. They are 133 out of 133. They have not played one Power 5 opponent this year. They've barely sneaked by some bad group of 5 teams. And with Oregon not having a lot of players sitting out, this is going to get ugly quick, I think. I think Oregon win this game quite handily. So that's at least your New Year's 6 preview. Gives you an idea of what we're going to look for in those big games. Let's get to the NFL. We're getting closer and closer to, playoff season. This second to last, the penultimate week of the regular season. All those second to last superlatives you want to use. As I mentioned, this being recorded at halftime of the Browns game. The Browns are in the lead right now, 34-17. We'll see if they can keep it up in the second half, hopefully. The Jets haven't looked great tonight, but that's expected for a team that's 6-9 right now. We'll move on. Saturday night, it's Monday Night Football on Saturday night because there is no Monday night game this week because of the playoffs. So it is the Detroit Lions going up against the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. Like I said, quick turnover for that field crew because Cowboys play on Saturday night. Dallas is the favorite in this game, which I'd expect them to be. I believe they are undefeated at home this year. And this does feel like a game that Dallas wins. That Lions defense is just not good. I expect Dak Prescott and those receivers to carve up that secondary, and I expect the Cowboys to walk away with victory in this one. Moving on to Sunday, the Patriots are traveling to Buffalo to face off against the Bills. The Bills, this is we need to win this game to kind of give ourselves a little bit of breathing room playoff-wise. You're not going to clinch until next week, more than likely, but we need some breathing room. This feels like that game for them. They're going to get that breathing room. Although the Patriots have been a little frisky the past few weeks, going to give them more of a test than they expect. Falcons, Bears, I don't know. Two bad quarterbacks. I'm not going to say Justin Fields is bad, but he's not good. I'm going to go with the Bears because it's at Soldier Field. That's all I got, honestly, about that one. Antonio Pierce and the Raiders travel to Indianapolis to face off against the Colts. This is a game where the Colts need to win if they want to be in the playoffs. Kind of just like the Bills, it's a game you need to win to give yourself breathing room, even though there's going to be no breathing room even if they win. Yeah. I really don't know. The Colts should have won last week against the Falcons, and they just didn't show up. Hopefully they show up this week, because if they lose this week, they're out of the playoffs. I don't see them making it. The Rams travel to New York to face off against the Giants. The Tommy DeVito era is over. R.I.P. the DeVito era. Lasted 3 weeks, something like that. The Rams, a lot of teams are in that spot right now where they need to win to give themselves some breathing room in the playoffs. This is the Rams here. I expect the Rams to get that done, even though it's on the road and early kickoff and all that for them. I expect them to get the job done. It might be closer than we think, but I expect them to get the job done. Eagles, after that huge win on Christmas against the Giants, a game that they could have easily lost, go up against the Cardinals. Again, this is a game that the Eagles should win, but I feel like the Cardinals are going to stay close in this game, and there's a chance they might sneak out with victory, but I'd say that the Eagles find a way to win because they need to win if they want to still win the division. This game basically going to decide the NFC South. Saints, Buccaneers. If the Buccaneers win, I believe they clinch the division. It's in Tampa. The Saints haven't looked great. I expect the Buccaneers to clinch the division, but given that it's the NFC South, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints just show up and win by 20, because why not? 49ers coming off that just miserable loss on Monday Night Football, so a short week for them, plus an early kickoff, going up against the Commanders in Landover, Maryland. If they were playing a better team than the Commanders. I'd be worried about the 49ers in this game, but they're not. They're playing the Commanders, who I believe Jacoby Brissett starting at quarterback. I'm going to take the 49ers. A game the Jaguars need to win to, I think, clinch the division. They're playing the Panthers. Panthers team that's, has 2 wins on the season. Almost got a third last week, but they just couldn't stop that Packers defense one more time. Trevor Lawrence might be injured. He hasn't really practiced much this week. Kind of worrying. I think the Panthers keep it close. I don't know if they win the game, but I think they keep it close. This game is going to decide who the number 1 seed in the AFC is. It's the Dolphins and the Ravens, live from Baltimore, 1 p.m. kickoff. Coming off that big win against the Cowboys on Christmas Eve, the Dolphins seem to have rejuvenated hope of getting that 1 seed. The Ravens look like a juggernaut right now. Given that, I really don't know who wins this game. It's a true coin flip. I obviously want the Dolphins to win. I think that's easily stated that I would rather see the Dolphins win than the Ravens win, given that, the Browns potentially could still win the division. But given that, I expect the Ravens to put up another just outstanding performance and somehow come away with like a 15-point victory. Another 1 o'clock game. I think this is the last of the 1 o'clock games. It's a game we saw just like 2 weeks ago. It is the Titans and the Texans. This time, CJ Stroud will be in at quarterback, so I don't expect this game to go to overtime. I expect the Texans to control this game kind of start to finish. Steelers travel to Seattle, take on the Seahawks. Seahawks need to win this to keep any hopes of playoffs alive. I think they get it done because the Steelers aren't good. This game would have been a lot better if, Joe Burrow wasn't injured and the Bengals were living up to expectations. It is the Bengals and the Chiefs. The Chiefs coming off a loss to the Raiders at home on Christmas. The Chiefs aren't looking as good as they have been. The Bengals, I think, need to get this win to stay in the playoff hunt also, just like the Seahawks. Given how the Chiefs have looked, I think the Bengals might pull this out. I know they looked terrible last week in Pittsburgh. I know they looked awful. I think they somehow pull out this win, honestly. I don't know how, but I think they do. Chargers going up against the Broncos. Easton Stick starting at quarterback for the Chargers. It is Trevor Siemian starting at quarterback for the Broncos, as it seems Russell Wilson's time in Denver is coming to a quick end. He has been benched for the final 2 games of the year due to contract stipulations I honestly don't even know. And there are now reports that he's expecting to be cut in March. So he's going to be free to go wherever he wants next year. What a disastrous trade, honestly, for both sides here. The Seahawks and the Broncos. It kind of just hasn't worked out either way, which I was kind of surprised by. But looks like the beginning. Well, it's not the Trevor Siemian era, but it is going to be a beginning of a new era soon in Denver. And finally, we get to the Sunday night game, which honestly, given that it's New Year's Eve, kind of surprised there is a Sunday night game because NBC usually has something from Times Square. They don't this year, apparently. As it is the Green Bay Packers traveling up to Minnesota to face off against the Vikings. The Vikings, I think whoever loses this game is officially eliminated from playoff contention. The Packers 100% are eliminated if they lose. They need a lot more to happen if they win to get in, but both teams haven't looked great, honestly. They haven't. if I had to choose someone here, I'm going with the Packers, but I don't think they get the win. Give me the Vikings in this one. So given that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Pigskin Perspectives. Nice rounded preview. Just a reminder, we'll be back Saturday night, college football playoff preview. We'll do both games, give my official title prediction, all that fun stuff. Then we'll be back on Tuesday to recap it all, including the playoff. So hopefully we will see you then. Thank you so much for watching. If you just stumbled across this video, hit like, hit subscribe. Tell anybody you know about the channel, Pigskin Perspectives, Top of the Perch, any of that's on this channel. And we will see you back on Saturday for a college football preview on Pigskin Perspectives.